Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Way Up Trading. Now, today I want to go over some key things that I saw take place on the market today, which were pretty much unbelievable. Like, couldn't believe what I saw today in the markets. The SPY doing some things that I wasn't quite expecting, but I'm actually happy that wound up playing out. We were starting to form a little bit of a head and shoulders pattern that actually looks like it's going to completely invalidate. Bears once again getting roasted and a little bit of a sweet move to the downside.
Someone been smoking?
Pushing right back up after bouncing off one of our critical levels. Unbelievable move. Some of the other stocks that we had in play, some awesome plays we took today in the Way Up Trading group, and also stocks have been actually eyeing for quite a while, finally making the moves that they needed to make in order for us to start seeing some major upside on some of these heavily beaten down names, including Peloton, including SoFi, Roku, Plug Power. The list just goes on and on. And it was short squeeze, it was left and right. A lot of excitement going on in the market. Also for including the idea for what's going to happen with potential earnings on Apple, AMD. A lot to talk about today. We're gonna go over some of the plays of the day, as well as what I could potentially see happening going into the rest of the week, and how we can be prepared to take on the opportunities that are right here in front of us. I said on a Twitter post today that it's really starting to feel like 2021 all over again, and we're seeing it all around us right now. So grab a seat, we're going to dive into some of the charts right after this.
How about that stock market?
All right, I got the SPY pulled up here on the 1 hour time frame. You can see pretty much I have a setup here in a bull channel that's been going on now for quite a little while. Looks like the beginning of January all the way up until this current time frame, where we had this upward motion from roughly about the 420 mark, and have been pushing and playing the tops and bottoms with some multiple areas of breakouts and rebounds off of key levels that I have marked here. But the overall move has been this bull channel that's been playing to the upside since the beginning of the year, and we are now zooming in here. We are actually playing what looked like it was supposed to be more of a head and shoulders pattern that should have been playing out since more recent price action going into Friday's close. I actually had it marked. You can see we have a head, shoulder, shoulder, head, shoulder that looks like it was forming roughly around the 457 mark after a little bit of a bull flag, a bull pennant type of setup that may have been occurring at that particular point in time going into Friday's price action, being at a close underneath one of my major levels. But we have had a false breakout. You can see that head is a little bit of a false breakout out of the bull channel, and we fell back down to play the midline, bounced off of it nicely in a pre-market move, and this is on Thursday's price action, and now have basically found support and almost played more of a double bottom over the last couple of hours and the last two trading days into today's action, looking to almost cup and handle out of this 457. High likelihood that's going to possibly happen going into the next couple of days. The way things moved today were really bear trappy, if I can call it anything else. To the downside, looking to sweep a couple of folks, grab some liquidity in order to push this thing higher, possibly one more time. I'm looking for most likely a test somewhere in the 460 range before we could potentially start to come back down, playing the inside of this bull channel that we've been in for the past few months. So at this particular point here, we're really just trying to break over this major level. I have it marked in yellow, if you can see it here to my right hand side of my screen. 457.96 is the area we need to break to start to play this move here up top. I have in my opinion, this looks like an Adam and Eve sort of type of pattern that looks like it seems to be playing, which would invalidate this head and shoulders that we were looking at for going into today. You can also look at this as a little bit of a cup and handle, possibly even a double bottom, where you have two bottoms here from Friday as well as into Monday's price action, and ready to push higher again towards this top of this bull flag somewhere again around the 460. Moving a little closer here to the 15-minute time frame, you can see that all day today we had this downward pressure after getting a rejection off of that particular area of 457.96. Got a little bit of a higher high, roughly around the 458.16 mark, before coming back all the way down. And you saw a little bit of a short squeeze move toward the end of the day that pushed things back up very rapidly, pretty much engulfing the entire day's price action going into the close, bringing us to a close of roughly 457.91, just underneath that mark I just mentioned a little while ago, which is 457.96. And we're actually looks like we are starting to possibly get over it in the after hours time frame. It's gonna be very interesting to see how things move going into Tuesday's price action, and then on We're right at the line. I believe there is more upside. There could be a potential sweep, in my opinion, to the top side before it comes back down. So look for some erratic price action to the top side before we potentially run back downward and start to make our descent. I'm still bullish overall on the market. However, the patterns are starting to play out a little funky for me because now we are inside of this pattern. And I do still think that we need some relief on the SPY. The only thing that I think is that seems to be happening here is that we have short squeezes that are pretty much carrying the market left and right, in my opinion, as well as some hype on the major earnings that are coming up, with Apple coming up, AMD this week, and so on. Those things are really push and hold the market up. If we do see positive earnings come out of those companies, you can expect AMD to run. You can expect all the entire chip sector to run. So look for Nvidia to start hitting some new highs. And you know how that can do with the market. Apple has already mentioned the magic word as far as AI, so we know that's a big catalyst on their end. I do still have a target pretty high up for Apple, looking somewhere around the 205 mark coming up very shortly, as well as the 220 mark as the next level after that. We can probably see those numbers most likely going into the end of the summer. So Apple pretty much is one of the main stocks within the SP 500, and if that's moving, a lot of other stocks will go up with it to support the movement. So we're going to see how things work out. It's going to go into taking a look at some of the other plays of the day that are worth notable mention. If you were able to catch some of the moves, I did make a couple of posts a few days back on a few of them that I believe are going to make moves. SNDL, which is Sundial Growers, one that actually wound up doing some great numbers in the last couple of days, as well as Peloton. Fantastic play that myself and the Way Up Trading Group were able to get into, make some great gains on that, as well as SoFi and a few others. So real quick, I'm going to take a look at one of the main movers that I had for today that we were able to jump into calls on early this morning. We're going to take a look at SoFi. Now, I expect SoFi to be a big talk of the town, or talk of the group, or talk of the airways going into the next couple of days, because it had a monster move this morning out the gates, roughly about a 25% day at its peak. Came back down toward the end of the day slightly, but it is holding some major levels right now after its move. Very strong to the upside, and I believe we still have a lot of upside to go. Easily can see somewhere in the 14 to 16 range, in my opinion. 14 being the first target, 16 being the longer dated target. But right now, let's just take a look at the charts here. We'll go over a couple of indicators to see what we have coming up next. I'm just looking at this thing from the macro perspective. We got the 3-day chart pulled up here, and you can see that we had some crosses that were pretty key on the 3-day chart to the upside. I have a major area here of resistance. One of the EMAs that I like to use, which is a smooth moving average, is a key indicator. Again, I recommend that you add this one to your chart. You can really see how the calls, points of resistance, how puts, the upside or downside moves can play off of this particular indicator very easily. It does take a combination of multiple time frames and puts them all into one smooth area in order for you to be able to see when bullish momentum or negative momentum is coming in. So this is what I recommend. However, the smooth moving average, you can see this is the 3-day chart. This gray thicker line here is actually area we needed to break on SoFi in order to start to see our upside potential moves to the higher levels of resistance that I have here, roughly around 1284, 1331 being the first area of resistance. And there's a reason I have those there. Those are where a lot of sell orders seem to be waiting on the sell blocks, or sell order blocks indicator that is showing me that there is resistance and sell orders waiting to knock that thing back down, or knock the actual stock back downwards, possibly for another reaccumulation of shares in order to push it to a higher limit. Beautiful looking chart overall. We have a full accumulation type of move. You can see there is an inverse head and shoulders that played out on this particular setup. You can see a shoulder, head, shoulder here, and you see that's moved, just a beautiful move here before you can see a little bit of a flag that took place on this end, broke through the flag, and you can see it broke right through here going up towards this smooth moving average. This is a very big breakout point. You can see this on several different time frames. If you notice that I mark it in pink in order for me to be able to see it clearly, but we held over it. That mark is actually sitting exactly at 1135, and the upside move, in my opinion, is not done. Volume wise, you can see a huge volume spike on this here 3-day chart. This obviously is related to today, that the upside move was then showing the cross above the signal line. High volume push, pretty much all she wrote. We're going to continue on with this actual path. I don't see anything stopping this short term unless we really get some bad news that happens with the economy. But right now the path looks clear for SoFi to start hitting some higher numbers. Like I mentioned before, 14 buck is the first stop in my opinion. And then from there, if we can hold, get a little bit of reaccumulation, I'm looking for somewhere around the $16 range in the mid-term setup. All right, you can see here, this is the 15-minute chart pulled up. You can see that we had a major bounce off of a sell-off this morning into the opening hours, or the pre-market hours. Bounced off of our major level of support we have marked here as 927, and you can see that the smooth moving average is just sitting here waiting for it. That area, once again, I mentioned, is a huge area to pay attention to above this line, above major support levels, and you can generally expect upside movement to ensue, and that's exactly what we got this morning. 921 cross to the upside took place roughly about 8:15 this morning, and eyes were on this thing all day. We had guys in the group talking about, hey, SPY is looking pretty strong. I immediately was able to go ahead and take a look at it to make sure. And that opened, I basically set my order from the opening rip. I wasn't going to wait long, and we were able to go ahead and grab some $14 calls for 811 just to give us a little bit more time. After a little bit of research, I was able to basically see that we had a lot of sell orders sitting around the 14 mark. So I knew it was going to take a little time in order for us to start to see higher numbers. We may not see them within the same week. Yes, you may get higher risk, a higher reward, but it is a higher risk type of setup if you were to play the weekly. We did go ahead and take the 811. Great prices on those contracts are crazy cheap, roughly about 10 cents, and those started to see some really nice upside here, and I do believe this is going to continue going into the next couple of days. So we're going to continue to watch those as things progress. But we did, like I mentioned a little before, we are holding above that pink line, which is a 3-day smooth moving average. Right now we're just looking to break these couple of areas here, which are roughly around the 1160 mark, which would be a higher high than we had today, and then from there 12 bucks and so on. So keep a lookout on SoFi. We're going to continue to watch these charts, making sure we're catching a lot of these moves. I mean, moves are all over the place, left and right. We're finding different plays, different opportunities, and we're just basically trying to catch as many of them as we can. We can't catch all of them, but they're all over the place right now. So this is an awesome time to be involved in the markets. And I ask you to consider 2 things: liking and subscribing this video, liking and subscribing to the channel, as well as checking out the link below for the Way Up Trading Group, where we pretty much work together to find different plays, find opportunities, call out different option plays and swing plays, and with everyone in there is doing great. So if it's something that you would like to take a look at, a free trial opportunity is available. Go ahead and click the link below and take a look at that. Hope to see you on the other side there. All right, right now I want to bring up Peloton. Now Peloton is another big play we actually were able to jump in. We actually been in this one for a couple of days now with the Way Up Trading Group. This is actually a very, very nice setup here. And I'm just pulling up one of our indicators and just taking a look at the setup here. We have this very, very nice overall this is the 23-day chart first and foremost. We have a very nice bullish bat pattern that has been playing out on the charts here, and we are looking fantastic. I mean, I mentioned a few minutes ago how the smooth moving averages, I mark them off in pink on several different time frames, and you can see right in this area here, a lot of them were all compiled in the same location, usually meaning this is a major area to break out of before you start seeing some upside. Now these are marked off for several different time frames, the higher time frames, roughly around 2-day, 3-day, and weekly time frames we're talking about, that all of these are basically compiled. We have one that's a little bit higher up. And basically, with this setup here, with all of these compiled in one area, most of them were sitting roughly around the 915, 912, 913 area, roughly in that area. And once we knew that we were going to start getting the upside play, we knew that this thing was going to start getting ready to go. So we put ourselves in position. We had a little fake out earlier on in the week. We did get into our play roughly about a week ago, and we just really started seeing the major upside movement. There were some fake outs on the market, obviously, if you've been paying attention, but that was more so to shake off longs for this particular time frame where the squeeze is happening. So we're gonna look a little closer here. I do have my next targets on this particular stock, looking at target 1 of $12.08 being the next target. Right now we're sitting at 975 after hours. Beautiful day, 11% day. I think at the height we were somewhere around a 14 to 15%. We had a high today of about $9.87 before coming back down. Team and I are all involved in $9 and $10 calls for 8/18, which is monthly expiration date. So we're looking at, again, high upside movement. By the time we actually reach these numbers, I believe we'll be deep in the money going into the expiration date. So we're going to hold these things for the duration. Like I mentioned, we have a target 1 sitting at $12.08. Target 2 is sitting up at $14.28. The daily daily chart. So this is looking fantastic right now. I see a lot of upside potential. Take a look at the closer time frames to see how things have been playing out. And just briefly, we'll take a look at the setup we had here in order for us to start to realize where we were on this chart. We had this descending broadening wedge that's been set up here, and I constantly talk about this particular pattern on several of my videos. If you haven't been paying attention, one, you need to just really like burn into your brain, because when you see this, know that there's a nice reversal on its way. It is one of the easiest chart patterns to now start to understand in the way that they try to shake longs off, make you second guess yourself, sell your shares, and so on and so forth. So be careful when you see this. When you do see it, pay attention to it, mark it off, get into your positions, because most likely if you can watch volume and double check how things are working out, you can see that this particular pattern, once it does not touch the bottom end of this downtrend line, you can most likely expect a bounce off of a normal midline that you'll always find within this pattern, and you'll start playing the upside. And once you get that upside break, it lights out. It just goes right upwards. You can usually see an upward move parallel to where the last upside resistance. So in something like this, in a case like this, something like this would be right at the $9.82 mark, $10 mark, and this is what you'd look for on a regular basis. These are the types of setups we'd like to look at in the group, just in order to catch the upside moves. You can also play to the downside if you know where things will wind up having a support section. You can see clearly on this particular one, you can see there was support sitting here. It's right where we bounced off at the $8.71 mark. Have considered this bottom. The team and I, we were actually in this particular area, we were loading up and actually averaging into our position. We entered somewhere around here, averaged down around here, and just basically rode this thing up. And we're going to continue riding it up all the way into the monthly expiration date, like I mentioned before, 8/18. Trimming contracts, taking profits along the way, and this is basically how. However, the descending broadening wedge played out. Upside potential, like I mentioned before, is going to be somewhere around the $12 mark. I have my target sitting here. It's 1061 major resistance at 1081, 1084, and then from there we have 1208. You can see clearly that you have your order sitting here, trying to hold this before it runs too hard. Roughly between the blue boxes will basically show you the areas where sellers are just waiting to try to force this back down to potentially reaccumulate for the next push. So this is roughly between the 962 mark as well as the 980 mark. But once it blows through this order block on the 1 hour chart, you can expect this thing to start to move up and climb. See the next sellers are sitting here. Block orders are sitting roughly around the 1160 mark. So tons of upside left on this particular stock. Get ready. Congratulations, you were able to get involved in this play and you have been watching these charts, because I'm telling you, they're all over the place. So keep paying attention to these things and start positioning yourself if you're not already involved. If you're thinking about it, don't think too long. We don't want to miss this opportunity. However, I do think we are in a very, very real bull market, and yeah, take advantage of it. So that's Peloton. On and on. I said right now, pretty much the list goes on and on. There are several different tickers right now that are actually running, making moves, and on their way to the upside. I have an entire list over here. I got RKT, I got KWeb. The entire Chinese sector is looking amazing. NEO, obviously, we've seen some big things happening there. I think anything that you buy on NEO going up to the $20 mark, any dip you see, you buy at 20 bucks is going to be where it's at. I got a ton of it. What else I got? I got RKT. I got Upstart. Obviously, Upstart is just been on a moon mission. P-Ton we talked about. I got Plug Power, KWeb, Fubo, another one is running. Laser. Look out for Laser. Laser's another one I expect to do some nice things. I think it's already starting its run now as we speak, but I don't think the best is yet to come on that particular stock. So pay attention to Laser. Oh boy, it's just insane. There's a lot of plays making moves right now. We're trying to keep watching them, making sure that we are charting them, getting our positions in place, looking to make the best entries and make our way up throughout the entire bull session that we're in right now. Let me know what stocks you'd like me to go ahead and cover more in detail later on. I mentioned a few here in this video. If you like any particular ones you want to take a look at, leave a message in the comment section below. I'll go ahead and take a look at those and make another video in regards to some of the top ones that I see in the comment section. If you haven't already, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Join us on the way up. We're going to be here each and every day, growing our portfolios together and making the outcome income for 2023 and going forward. So also, if you're interested in getting involved with the trading group, link is down in the description. A lot of great opportunities get thrown out there every day. We have chart reviews, we have watch lists, we have the whole nine. A lot of folks doing some really big things in there. We're looking to grow everyone's portfolio to some crazy sizes going forward and making everybody's outcome income. So looking forward to having you there. Free trial opportunities available. Like I said before, we didn't even talk about Beyond Meat. CVNA, Twilio, Open, Hood, ARC, Unity, ticker symbol U. I mean, the list goes on and on, man. It's an awesome time to be alive right now. Awesome time to be in the markets. Hey, listen, just follow, subscribe, like, comment. Get involved with the video, associate with the video, helps the channel out a lot. Gonna see you guys next time on the next video. Join us on the way up, make the outcome income for 2023. Talk to you soon. Peace.